Man, Lil Simz does it again. What's up, YouTube? My name is Jason, and this is my take. And I'm back with another review, and today we're going to be talking about the kinda new Lil Simz album, Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. Now, this is the first installment of my kinda late reviews, because sometimes there are going to be albums that maybe I want to sit on a little longer, or in the case of my YouTube channel, that came out after I started the channel. So I wanted to go back and dive into it because Lil Simz is an artist that I really enjoy, and I did want to, take some time to talk about this album. Now, Lil Simz is an England rapper that you guys need to know about. I got on the Lil Simz wave in 2019 with her electrifying album, Gray Area. This was one of the best projects of 2019 in my opinion because it displayed Simz's lyricism, her topical focus, but more than that, her energy over these hard-hitting, bass-heavy beats. This album dropped in early September, and going into this album, I was just expecting what I got from Gray Area. Simz just going in, diving into some interesting topics over bangers. And what I got, was not what I was expecting at all. Now, I'm not saying that to say that I didn't like this. This album is great. Simz does it once again. But on this 19-track album that's just over an hour, we see Simz going a little deeper as she dives into her introversion, her mental health, as well as feeling empowered as a Black woman over these more soulful R&B cuts. And speaking of the production on here, it's big, it's grand. I can't even fathom how expensive it was to make this album. Because there are a lot of times on here where it sounds like there's like a symphony or an orchestra behind Simz. Now, the first two songs on this album, Introvert and Woman, were singles leading into this project. And the opener, Introvert, we see Simz diving into her introversion and how reserved she is. But she speaks on it in talking about how, being to herself and being in the shadows has some negative effects. The biggest thing that she talks about is, being isolated and separated from very important people in her life, like family. And what I love about this record is in talking about this, Simz talks about how she did change that, and she could change, her availability and being around people without, changing the fact that she is an introvert. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert and how you are and how you are around people, but you can still do the things that need to be done in terms of being there for other people. The song Woman is one of my favorite songs of this year, to be honest. This song is for the ladies, specifically women of color. It's a tribute to them, and Simz raps on this song just rapping about not forgetting who you are as a woman, as a Black woman, and knowing your worth, knowing how special you are, knowing how much this world needs you. And she teams up once again with Cleo Sol, who just sounds beautiful on the hook of this song. One of the smoothest records on this song is the song Two Worlds Apart. That's led by this smooth Smokey Robinson sample. In this one, Simz is talking about two different artists and their different ways of dealing with the fame and the notoriety. As Simz is one of the artists who stayed true to herself and didn't really change who she was despite growing. While the other artists, started doing things that they wouldn't normally do, was turning into a person that they weren't, and, became a product of the industry. I love the funky bass line on the song, I Love You, I Hate You. And this is a very emotional track that sees Simz talking about her father and his absence and how it affected her. And throughout the song, you hear the sample at the end of her lines. She'll say a line and then you'll hear, I love you. And then you'll hear the I hate you at the end, as she's going into the fact that she loves her father, but she hates how things turned out. She hates how absent he was, and she hates that had such a negative effect on her and growing up. And this pain that she felt on I Love You, I Hate You continues onto the song Little Cute Part 2, where Simz talks even more about loved ones who weren't around for her when she was a kid, and it led her to a troublesome path. and her family in the troublesome path that she talks about her brother who was in jail. She again speaks on her father. And Simz even talks about a time where she had a near-death experience where someone close to her actually stabbed her. This is an interesting song as it kind of talks about the broken home dynamic and, you know, how your environment and what's around you does have a long-term effect on you, even years and years down the line. The song Standing Ovation dives more into Simz's introversion and specifically in the industry. She speaks on how even as great of a rapper as she is, she doesn't feel like she has to showboat and be flashy in her raps. Like she just has it. She just wants to show that, you know, her work ethic and the time that she puts into her craft is all that, you know, she needs to be a great artist. No, there's nothing else that she needs to show or prove. A very standout track on this one was the song Point and Kill, featuring Obongjayar, and sorry if I pronounced that wrong. It has more of a West African influence on this beat, and I love the feature of Obongjayar on this one. Like when I first heard it, I thought I was hearing Pharrell, the way he used his vocals and his ad-libs as Simz was rapping and as he was on the hook. It felt very reminiscent of how you would hear Pharrell on a track that he's either featured on or producing on. And I also love Simz' rap singy like combination on this song. She sounded great. Another very standout track and one of my favorites on this album was the song How Did You Get Here? This sees Simz on the tail end of the record just doing a lot of self-reflection and talking about like actually getting to this point where she's highly recognized and known as a great rapper. Like, you know, being a teenager and starting making music, she never saw herself in this position. And just thinking about everything that she went through, you know, in the broken home that she spoke about, you know, losing friends, just, you know, a tough upbringing. Like she never thought that she would make it here. With these great additions and these songs on the album, there were a few things that I didn't like, a few cons, if you will. The first being a couple songs that kind of felt out of place, and those songs being Speed and Rollin Stone. And honestly, I don't know, these songs felt like they could have been on gray area just by the sound of it. Like these songs were a little more upbeat, a little more energetic, synth bass heavy as well. And while I do appreciate these songs and they weren't like that bad, they just really felt out of place here. And another thing that I thought was like interesting, but you know, a little weird were the multiple interludes. There were 5 or 6 where on these interludes, it seems like Simz is like being talked to by like a therapist or like her conscience, or, you know, that's, you know, speaking confidence and things into her as she's, you know, struggling with, you know, her introversion. And you know, like it was cool, but it just felt like it was dragged on a little bit. Like some of these interludes were like 3 or 4 minutes, and it made the album longer than maybe it should have been. But like I said, I can understand how it ties into the theme of this album as a whole, and I did appreciate them, but you know, maybe I wish they would have been done differently. But all in all, we got another dope Little Simz project. And while I don't favor this album over Gray Area now that I've given it multiple listens, I think the versatility that Simz shows on this record cannot be ignored. And in my opinion, I think Lil Simz is continuously showing why she's not just one of the best rappers in the UK, but arguably one of the best rappers in the game. So I'm gonna give this album an 8 out of 10. So what did you guys think of this new Little Simz record? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let's have a conversation down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this kinda late review. I'm gonna do more of these just in general on the channel. The next ones that I'm gonna do are Donda and Certified Lover Boy. Those are gonna be coming in the future. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for joining. I'm Jason. This has been my take. See you next time.